Tyler Robinson. He just made his first court appearance since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And today, prosecutors filing murder charges against the 22-year-old who they say confessed to the killing and a text message to his partner.
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and the commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child.
According to investigators, DNA evidence found on the rifle and a towel and screwdriver that was found in that wooded area by campus.
What Charlie Kirk's shooter just admitted in court has sent shockwaves through the nation. In a case already drenched in controversy and speculation, his latest words changed everything, turning a cold courtroom into the epicenter of a national reckoning. What he revealed was a confession that may rewrite the entire story. Sunday marked a turning point that no one could have ignored. 200,000 people filled the streets of Glendale, Arizona, while hundreds of millions more watched from around the world. Every eye, every camera, every powerful figure in politics, media, and culture was locked on the scene. What unfolded that day would be remembered as a dark moment for America. The targeted shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk during an outdoor event at Utah Valley University.
I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it.
But for Tyler James Robinson, the man at the center of it all, this was never just a spontaneous act of violence. "It wouldn't trace to me," he told investigators, his voice calm but carrying a weight that made every word chill. "I had to leave it in a bush after changing outfits. I didn't have the ability or time. Every detail, every precaution hinted at a plan far larger than a lone act. And in that moment, it became clear what Robinson had done, or what he claimed to have done, was only the beginning. Something far more sinister, far more calculated, was waiting to come to light."
State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
The interrogation room was quiet. Detectives had interviewed hundreds of suspects, but nothing prepared them for what he was about to say. When asked why he did it, Robinson leaned forward, voice steady. "They hired me." 3 words, measured, deliberate, chilling. Not the rambling of a panicked man, not the excuses of someone desperate. Those words froze the room, and when they leaked to the public, they became more than a confession. They became a phrase that spread like wildfire. "They used me."
The suspect, Tyler Robinson, appeared virtually from the Utah County Jail where he's being held, but his camera was not on. That was a change his attorney requested.
On paper, Robinson was a typical young man with a troubled past. A 24-year-old student with spotty academics, a history of online arguments, and a politically divided household. His father was a vocal conservative supporter of figures like Kirk, while Robinson drifted into online communities that mocked them. For prosecutors, the case seemed simple. A young man consumed by rage and hatred. But Robinson's words complicated everything. By saying, "They hired me," he implied guidance, orchestration, and planning far beyond his own actions. The first wave of national attention came not from the courtroom, but a television studio.
Giovanna, we are learning a lot of new details about this investigation related to the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk that happened last week at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah.
At Robinson's first court appearance, the charges were read. Aggravated murder, a capital felony under Utah law. Conviction could mean the death penalty. Legal experts cautioned that this would not be a straightforward trial. Every motion, argument, and detail would be amplified under national scrutiny. Meanwhile, investigators scoured Robinson's devices. Laptops, phones, storage drives, not just for proof of guilt, but for answers to the nation's most pressing question. Was Robinson truly acting alone, or was he, as he claimed, used? Then came the second leak, a redacted police report confirming Robinson had named individuals during interrogation. The names were blacked out, but the implications were explosive. Online forums dissected travel records, timestamps, and social media activity. Amateur investigators claimed breakthroughs, but law enforcement warned the public to wait. Few listened. Every delay, every redaction only fanned the flames of suspicion. Was the truth being deliberately buried? And if it was, who stood to gain?
How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? The only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel.
Doesn't it sound planned? After all, why would he leave the rifle behind if it could trace back to him? Forensic experts began weighing in publicly, and their answers only deepened the mystery. Former FBI profiler Dr. Rebecca Haynes suggested Robinson's calm, deliberate delivery. They hired me. Wasn't a lie, but a breadcrumb leading to a far larger web. Cybercrime units dove into encrypted messages and deleted files, peeling back layers of planning that most couldn't have imagined. By week's end, the narrative had shifted. This wasn't just about a single shooting. Something bigger, darker, and more coordinated seemed to be emerging. Something that made every observer pause and wonder how deep the rabbit hole went.
And then later, prosecutors say Robinson's partner asked, quote, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe."
But this is incomprehensible. The explosive new footage surfaced. A second interrogation video. Do you think I did this on my own? You think I just woke up and grabbed a gun? Number. Someone told me where he'd be. Someone told me when the video spread like wildfire. The question was no longer if Robinson acted. It was who had guided him. And if those words were true, the breach wasn't just serious. It was terrifying. The very people entrusted to protect public figures may have failed, or worse, colluded. If Robinson wasn't acting alone, then who was still out there, watching, waiting, and ready to strike next?
You weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I'm sorry.
Digital forensic teams dug deeper into Robinson's devices. Layer after layer of encrypted chats, scanned handwritten notes, and meticulously organized folders emerged, revealing weeks of calculated planning. One message read, "He'll speak tomorrow." "Be prepared," another. "They will call you a monster, but history will know." Were these simple reminders or instructions from someone far beyond Robinson? Files contained Kirk's tour stops, even private appearances never publicly listed. Security experts concluded the information was no accident. Either someone inside Kirk's team leaked it, or a network had breached multiple security protocols. Retired Secret Service agents called it coordination, not chance. And then came the chilling thought. If Robinson had insider knowledge, if someone had orchestrated this from the shadows, then the story didn't end with him. Someone unseen was still out there, and their motives were unknown. Every message, every encrypted chat, every hidden file suggested the real danger had only just begun. Hackers then leaked purported unredacted police documents, naming 3 people allegedly connected to Robinson. 2 were linked to political organizations, 1 to a former federal contractor. The fallout was immediate: protests, death threats, police protection for innocents sharing the same surnames. Media debated reporting the names. Some refused, others implied them, and a few published outright. Investigative journalism pieces framed the scandal as unprecedented. If campaign insiders leaked information facilitating the attack, the legal ramifications were staggering: potential conspiracy and terrorism charges. Politicians scrambled to deny involvement and demanded transparency.
"Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." Authorities say his partner found a note that Robinson had left, and it read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it."
Inside the courtroom, prosecutors introduced new digital evidence: scanned handwritten notes from Robinson's files. Phrases like, "Don't lose focus," "This is more important than you," and He is the target, not the cause. Suggested Robinson saw himself as a tool, not the architect. His words, "They hired me," might not have been excuses. They could have been breadcrumbs toward others still hidden. Forensic psychologists debated motives. Some argued Robinson used conspiracy claims to deflect responsibility. Others noted his calm demeanor, suggesting he believed every word he said. If he truly thought he was used, experts warned, he might not be the last. Court filings to seal evidence were approved. Security around the courthouse intensified. What began as a shocking murder case had become a national crisis, testing trust in institutions and media. At the trial, millions watched live streams. Security footage showed Robinson arriving calmly, concealing the weapon, moving with precision. The chaotic aftermath was blurred but chilling. The defense's strategy stunned observers. They did not deny Robinson pulled the trigger. Instead, they claimed he was manipulated, pushed, and guided by those wanting Kirk silenced without public implication. But if that was true, then who was really on trial? The man who pulled the trigger or the unseen hands that aimed it? Days of conflicting narratives followed. Prosecutors cited dozens of encrypted messages indicating personal intent. The defense countered that deleted accounts and messages implied Robinson had been coerced or framed. Then came the turning point. A surprise witness, a former member of Robinson's online communities, admitted that discussions about targeting Kirk had occurred months before. Some were jokes, some were serious, and one hinted at insider knowledge of Kirk's movements. Jurors held their breath. The line between lone wolf violence and coordinated attack blurred. The verdict hit hard. Robinson admitted aggravated murder. He showed little reaction, staring straight ahead. Gasps, sobs, and whispers filled the gallery. Justice was served in part, but questions lingered. If Robinson was used, who orchestrated it? Networks, leaks, betrayals, still hidden. The phrase remains haunting. They used me. Was it a lie to protect himself? A revelation of a darker truth? A breadcrumb to others? The verdict closed the trial, but did not close the wound. The public, investigators, and even politicians are left asking, was Tyler Robinson a lone killer, a radicalized young man, or a pawn in a far larger game? And if he was a pawn, what forces remain in the shadows, waiting for the next move? This story is far from over. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to get more updates on this case.